When a city's chief executive attempts to redact the specific suffering of a targeted community to satisfy a partisan equity agenda, he isn't just governing. He is performing a forensic erasure of reality that liquidates the trust of the very people he is sworn to protect.
Well, some Chicago City Council members say they are concerned about a pattern of bullying behavior right in the mayor's office.
This after Fox Chicago reported on those exclusive emails last night from a former top city official who alleged the mayor's team was harassing and smearing her before she left. Political reporter Paris Schutz here with the latest now.
Yeah, Dawn and Tia, the mayor today announced some new hires and new appointments in his office and across some city agencies. But some alders are saying they're cautioning. They're not ready to just rubber stamp these appointments just yet. This is after our exclusive report last night showing an email from former City Human Relations Commissioner Nancy Andrade dated March 12th. This is 2 weeks before she resigned. In this email, she alleges the mayor's office, including her chief of staff, fought her on a report that she was putting out to fight anti-Semitism across the city. Andrade alleges the mayor's chief of staff and chief equity officer wanted to dilute this report and take out references to Jewish lives and make it about, quote, all lives.
We are witnessing a total management meltdown at Chicago City Hall, where the internal controls of professional ethics have been overridden by a target-on-the-back culture that forces out any auditor of truth who refuses to sign off on a fraudulent narrative. The all lives matter rhetoric has been weaponized as a tool of bureaucratic bullying, turning a report on rising hate crimes into a whitewashed ledger that hides the victims to protect the political brand of a sub-10% mayor. This is the institutional default of Chicago, and we are documenting the moment where the restorative justice narrative became a cover for a hostile takeover of the truth. I am Camila Motato, and this is Camilo's House. As a professional focused on forensic verification, I approach a municipal administration like a distressed asset, whose internal reporting has been compromised by systemic fraud. In a standard audit, if you find that the managing director is ordering the compliance officer to delete specific data points from a risk assessment report to make the findings look more equitable, you don't just issue a warning. You perform a full-scale forensic reconstruction of the ledger. Today, we are auditing the implosion of the Brandon Johnson administration. We are analyzing the material breach of ethics reported by Nancy Andrade, the personnel liquidation occurring on the 5th floor, and the historical irony of an administration allegedly using all lives matter as a strategic redaction tool to minimize the documented rise in hate crimes against the Jewish community. The operational breach that triggered this latest crisis was the resignation of Nancy Andrade, the former City Human Relations Commissioner, on March 25, 2026. From an investigative standpoint, her exit was not a voluntary retirement. It was a forced liquidation of integrity. Andrade has disclosed that the mayor's management team, specifically the chief of staff and the chief equity officer, engaged in a hostile override of a report she was preparing to fight anti-Semitism. The audit trail suggests the administration wanted to dilute the disclosure, reportedly ordering the removal of nearly 30 mentions of the word Jewish or references to Jewish lives to make the report feel more inclusive. This is what we call a material misstatement of fact. If a report is specifically designed to analyze the spike in hate crimes against one group, a group that has seen a documented surge in targeting, and the management orders that those specifics be replaced with all lives, they are performing a forensic whitewashing. In the world of equity auditing, using all lives to mask the specific suffering of a targeted segment is a transactional error of the highest order. It is an attempt to amortize the pain of one community to avoid political friction with another. Andrade labeled this conduct egregious, shameful, and utterly unethical, noting that the pressure to go along with the diluted ledger made her position untenable. This pattern of bullying is a systemic control failure that has been flagged by minority shareholders like 32nd Ward Alderman Scott Wagasback. He has certified that the environment in City Hall is appalling, documenting a disturbing trend where anyone who calls out corruption or challenges the narrative is immediately shown the door. From a forensic HR perspective, this is a hostile work environment that impairs the value of every city department. When your top management assets are leaving just to avoid being caught up in unethical actions, your human capital portfolio is in a state of functional insolvency. The internal resignation rate in the Johnson administration is now at a critical level. Nancy Andrade's exit follows the firing of Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Gary Gatewood, and his top deputy, Manny Whitfield, in March 2026. Gatewood disclosed that he was not given an explanation for his termination, but noted that when you work to hold folks around the mayor accountable, you become a target. In auditing terms, this is a management override of controls. When the chief executive and his inner circle create an environment where dissent is a default condition, the internal audit function of the city ceases to exist. You end up with a siloed ledger where only yes men are allowed to sign off on the reporting. To rebalance the books, Mayor Johnson announced a new inflow of management on April 8, 2026, appointing Emmanuel Andrade as the new deputy mayor for community safety. From a risk assessment perspective, this is a related party transaction. Andrade is a litigator from the Cook County Public Defender's Office and a restorative justice leader. By replacing auditors of reality like Gatewood with ideological allies, the mayor is recapitalizing his policy portfolio while liquidating the professional standards of the city. The voter stakeholders are seeing a management team that is doubling down on a failing strategy, a strategy that has already resulted in poor market valuations, with approval ratings hovering as low as 31% or less. We must also audit the social cost of whitewashing the anti-Semitism report. If the primary source documents show a massive increase specifically in hatred against the Jewish community, and the mayor's team says, "We're not going to mention that," they are defaulting on their fiduciary duty to protect all citizens. As critics have noted, whitewashing the report to say that all incidences matter just as much as those being specifically targeted is a dangerous erasure of the fabric of Chicago. It signals that the management is speaking to a different audience, one that prefers ideological equity over forensic fact. This creates a moral hazard where targeted communities feel they have no insurance from the city against rising hate. My forensic verdict on the Brandon Johnson administration is that it is in a state of permanent management default. You cannot regain the trust of the market by allegedly redacting 30 mentions of a victim group from a safety report. The All Lives Matter pivot used by the inner circle is the ultimate forensic hypocrisy, a tool of equity used to exclude the data of a specific community in crisis. The meltdown at City Hall is the visual confirmation of a failed executive branch. Whether it is Gary and Gatewood or Nancy Andrade, the audit trail is the same. The internal controls of Chicago have been liquidated to protect a narrative at the top. I want to hear from you. Is the alleged redaction of the word Jewish from an anti-Semitism report a material fraud on the public? Or is it a legitimate equity adjustment, as the mayor claims? Can Brandon Johnson recapitalize his leadership with new hires? Or has the pattern of bullying already liquidated his mandate? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is the only audit that matters when the safety of your community and the integrity of the truth are sitting on the negotiation table. I am Camila Motato, and this is Camila's House. Subscribe to stay informed on the numbers, the laws, and the truth behind the headlines. Stay safe.